Hello everyone, and thank you for watching another video in the series Raising Positive People. I'm Olivia Edwards, the Positive Parent Coach, and today we're going to be talking about control and power. So this is something I see come up all the time when I'm talking to parents, whether I am coaching them, they've joined my program, or I'm just chatting to them as a fellow mum, and we're just talking about our children. It comes up a lot because control is actually one of our two universal needs as a human, as a person. So children are no different. So we have two universal needs. One is for control and one is for attention. So I'm not going to be talking about attention today, but I'm going to be focusing really heavily on that need for control. Now, the reason it's a universal need is because we feel safe when we feel we have control over things. I'm sure you can relate to that as an adult. You know, for a lot of us in the pandemic where restrictions were put in place and things were outside of the norm, we felt like control was being taken from us, and feeling like you've got a lack of control, especially when it's being forced upon you, can really trigger anxiety in a lot of people, because it flips you into that survival mode or that primitive brain. So for some people, what they would do if they felt the sense of control slipping away is they would micromanage. So a lot of people in the pandemic started to micromanage things that were going on around them, so controlling all these tiny elements. And if you were doing that as a parent, the issue with that is that for your children, you're then over managing things. You're taking even more control, and so they're getting very little. So if you can imagine that all children, all people, but we're going to focus on children, are walking around with two buckets. One is to fulfill their need for control or power, and one is to fill their need for attention. So again, pushing the attention one to one side and just focusing on the control and power. The issue is when they have this bucket, there's a tiny hole in the bottom. So you have to constantly keep the bucket topped up so it never runs down to empty, because the closer it gets to running down to empty, the more likely your child is going to show behaviors where they're pushing for control to meet that need. So this could be really pushing boundaries. It could be responding in a really big way to the word no. It could be engaging in a power struggle with you. So completely not listening to what you're saying, maybe doing the opposite of what you've asked them to do, that kind of standoff scenario, which nobody wants to experience as a parent. It's horrible, it doesn't feel nice. The reason that they're doing that is because inside they feel that they need that control and power and they don't know where to get it from. So again, classic scenarios would be you're experiencing problems at bedtime. So maybe they have resistance to brushing their teeth or to getting in and out of the bath. They don't want to put their pajamas on, or the pajamas you want to put on them, they didn't want, so they have this huge meltdown. It could be they struggle with leaving the house. You know, they don't want to put their shoes on or their coat on. They don't want to get into their car seat or their buggy. They're arching their back and they're physically fighting you. Perhaps it's with meal times. They are really fussy and really picky with what they'll eat. They refuse to eat food. They're throwing it. They're demanding lots of things. So they're demanding you do specific things for them. They're demanding a specific parent does specific things and not the other parent. All of those behaviors classically would fall under a need for control and power. So if you can recognize any of those in your situation, in some challenges you're experiencing, then what you need to do is put strategies in place to meet their need for control. Because the more you push back and the more you take that control away from them, the more they're going to push you for it. Something else to be really aware of as well, especially around, September, is that a lot of children have either gone to school or started back at school, or you might have a child who's just started nursery or some sort of educational setting, and they're struggling to settle. Again, this can be because they feel that need for control and things are happening to them outside of their control. So it comes with a big transition, or moving house, or having a sibling. Any change to what they would have as a normal routine is going to throw them off. It's going to be unpredictable, and most likely they haven't had a say in what's going on. So that need for control is going to increase because it's not, their bucket's just not being filled. So there are so many tools and strategies that you can put in place in a really positive, really gentle, really respectful way that's going to keep that bucket topped up and stop it going empty. Because that hole in the bottom is going to be bigger as well when they're going through a really wobbly transition. So they're just going to need more control, more from you. So a few things you can do are to give them choices. So offer choices within certain situations, so that they feel involved. They feel they have a say in something. You're giving them some element of control within a safe limit. So you're going to set the boundary and you're going to say you can pick this or this, and ultimately you're happy with either one, but they feel that they're making the decision. Other things you can do are give them responsibilities. So find something for them to do so they feel special, they feel seen, they feel valued, they feel this huge sense of belonging. So one of the biggest buffers to support transitions to be successful is having a solid sense of belonging. So if you're struggling with a transition, that element of responsibility and involvement is going to be really key to helping them feel significant and feeling that they belong somewhere, that they're securely attached to you. That's going to give them the biggest chances of success with a change, with that transition. So there are some things you can do, and really validating their feelings when things maybe aren't going their way, or things aren't they're going in a way that they thought it was going to happen, and you know, that's triggered trauma response in their brain because their brain thought this thing was going to happen and now it's gone slightly differently and it's all blown up. You know, there are going to be other scenarios where your child needs to let off steam, let out tension and emotion because they've contained it. So, you know, perhaps they're at school or nursery and they're containing how they feel throughout the day because they don't quite feel safe enough yet to let it all out. And then you get the brunt of it at home. Again, that's a classic scenario. It's because you're their safe place. So they feel safe in throwing everything at you, literally and figuratively. They know you're not going to just up and leave and that you're still going to love them. It's very hard for you because it can be exhausting. So as a side note, make sure you're meeting your needs and keeping your cup full. But they're doing that because they feel safe with you. And so what you need to provide for them is validation and safety of those feelings and contain them, but then give them elements of control and power at other times. So I hope you found that useful. If you need more information on control and power, you want more strategies, some really in-depth ideas, or there are specific scenarios that you're really struggling with, you can bring them to the Q&A session, or you can always contact me to access other services, whether we work together as a one-to-one or you take part in my online self-study course, which has a whole module around power struggles and the element of control. So I hope you took some key light bulb moments away with you today, and I hope to see you the next time for the next session.